Hi, I really like playing fighting games. And recently, over the past year and a half, my fighting game of choice has been Dead or Alive. However, I still am not exactly where I want to be and I'm looking to improve. In my search on how to get better at DOA, my mind first jumped to my journey in other fighting games and how I got better at them. So sorry for this little jump scare. In Street Fighter 6, I was once hot garbage and wanted to get better. Asking for advice, I received in many no uncertain ways that I was more or less a flailing ape. So one of my first steps to getting better was to learn how, when, and why to do less or even nothing at all at certain ranges. Whiffing and generally doing things I didn't need to be doing made it both easier for my opponents to get in on me, as well as making it harder for me to keep them out. And rushing things up close could certainly end up in my favor, but the metaphorical revolver I held had a far greater chance of firing in my own face. Through applying more patience and developing a more keen eye, I eventually grew better at Street Fighter and made it all the way to Master. And through getting better and reaching this level, I realized I really didn't enjoy playing the game all that much. However, thinking back and applying this knowledge to DOA, I realized not only a certain path to my own improvement, but also how DOA might be the most interactive and informative example of getting better by doing less or even nothing at all. Plenty of fighting games have moments in which you or your opponents are doing nothing. If you're being comboed in most games, there is no choice. Unless there is some sort of burst meter to spend, you quite literally can't do anything. Maybe you can take a quick selfie or write up a tweet, or at the very least keep your eyes on the screen in fear of a combo reset. Yet, no matter what happens, you are doing nothing, and you're doing nothing not by your own choice. By now, all my glazing of DOA's hold system and its interaction with the triangle system must have made clear that I really like it a lot. But I haven't reached the end of my glazing yet, so give me a minute. Not only does being able to hold out of a stun grant players choices of interaction in moments where other games certainly do not, being given the option also awards you with the choice of doing nothing. And now that doing nothing has become a choice you made yourself, instead of a state forced upon you by your opponent, you can calm down with a feeling of control other games don't give you, and set your brain up for other things. In Dead or Alive, when the opponent stuns you, resigning yourself to doing nothing will first and foremost beat an opponent trying to throw you. But it also frees up additional headspace for figuring out the patterns your adversary might be letting peek through. They might not throw you, but they might be launching with the same launcher every time. They might use the same move to extend the stun each time. Whilst playing a much better player than myself, I noticed that unless I showed them I could hold, they never went for the throw at all. But they did show me a pattern. If they launched with a mid-punch the one time, then the next launcher would be a mid-kick and so forth. I still got my ass handed to me, but the dopamine surge from figuring out the pattern and abusing it helped me win way more rounds and eventually even games that I would not have won had I not chosen to take the time to observe. It may sound contrary to the point of winning, but yes, doing less or even nothing on offense will help out your game plan as well. Doing less at certain ranges can help make you harder to get in on by the opponent, as you're not constantly just whiffing moves left and right. Or the other way around, help you getting in on them instead, as you are more free to react to their moves. On offense, doing nothing or doing less presents you the opportunity of noticing your opponent's tendencies, directly punishing them heavily for them, or at the worst going back to an advantageous position for yourself, but now with newfound knowledge of what your opponent is likely to do next time you got them in a stun. In DOA, doing less doesn't always mean doing nothing at all. When you have the opponent stunned, it can be hard not to immediately go into your combo or launcher. But depending on how you stun the opponent, you often have some frames to play with, allowing you, even if you wait a little bit, to still go for the same combo or launcher, whilst adding the pressure of a far more layered offense by delaying your options. To train myself to play a little more thoughtful in DOA, I tried picking up Neo Tengu as a secondary next to my current main of Kasumi. Kasumi is incredibly fast and is privileged enough to have a 9-frame jab and 11-frame mid, making her one of the quickest characters in the roster. Whilst this is certainly a huge strength, in the hands of a flailing ape like myself, it can turn into a big weakness as well. I notice myself beating many opponents and characters not by playing around the system, or them specifically, but just by panicking out a quick move and giving myself an advantage and going along from that. This led to a huge wall in players that knew how to play around Kasumi, punishing me for finishing strings, or just anticipating either her fast highs, which I was relying on too much, and could be easily crushed by moves that work around them, or anticipating my fast mids and just holding them or moving away from them. Opposite to Kasumi, Neo Tengu is incredibly slow, her jab being 14 frames, and her fastest mid being 15 frames. A character that no longer allows me to rely on speed requires me to find different ways of beating my opponents, forcing me to play more patiently, to find openings and try to truly understand what characters are doing and how to beat them within the confines of the triangle system. And while I haven't been playing Tengu for too long, I can already tell that playing her has improved my overall play by the times I went back to Kasumi, and also has got me way more familiar with DOA systems as a whole. It has been quite a while since I wrote the concept and intro to this video, and since then I have become a lot better at the game, as well as a lot more aware of where my own weaknesses lie. This might be the first time in a fighting game I have come to a certain level of play and wanted to keep playing and keep getting better. Currently working on the secondary character Neo Tengu, who is the polar opposite of my main Kasumi, is really asking me to practice what I preach, which is not always easy to keep up. Anyway, all of that for another video. DOA and its community have been treating me very well, and I'm still really enjoying my time among them. Sadly, we haven't heard much yet about the last round update for DOA 6. However, I know what I want to do when it drops. I have always said that I find Tekken hard to get into, mostly because of all the homework it requires you to do. And while I feel like Dead or Alive doesn't require you to do as much as Tekken asks of you, it still requires you to do the work to fully understand each matchup. That being said, I feel like doing the homework for DOA is something I am willing to do. And as a teacher, I might be in a unique position to pass on my own learnings to you when last round drops in June. So if you like the video, consider leaving a comment and a like. Want to see what else is down the pipeline? Consider subscribing. As always, I have been Seldom Sad Sam. Thanks for watching the video, and see you in the next one.